Millions of years ago, Lucifer led a rebellion against God, but his defiance came with a heavy price. He was cast out of heaven, falling directly into hell. Archangel Michael swiftly chained him to a massive rock and left his sword as the seal. Before Michael departed, Lucifer swore that one day he would return to confront God as an equal. As the centuries passed, Lucifer gathered demons to aid him in his quest for vengeance. His followers constructed a villa around the very chasm where he had fallen, awaiting his return. The year is now 2022, and Laura, an art historian, is studying in Italy. She plans to write a thesis arguing that the great Italian artists never truly believed in the angels and demons they depicted in their works. However, her professor dismisses her idea, claiming it disrespects Italy's heritage. To make matters worse, the professor invites her to discuss the thesis privately at his apartment. Feeling uncomfortable, Laura flees. Shortly after, she meets Father Marconi, who gives her a special pass that grants access to all the exhibitions in his cathedral, including the new display of the Shroud of Turin, which is said to contain the blood of Jesus from his crucifixion. Father Marconi takes Laura on a tour of the cathedral, showing her the shroud. Afterward, he reveals their latest acquisition, a stunning statue depicting Archangel Michael defeating Lucifer. The two discuss the nature of evil, and then Marconi leaves Laura alone to sketch the statue for her thesis. As Laura draws, she hears someone whisper her name but sees no one around. She dismisses it as a trick of her mind. A few hours later, as the exhibition nears its end, a raven circles the building, landing near the entrance before transforming into Liz, who joins the final group of visitors. Instead of following the guide, Liz takes a restricted door, which the security cameras catch. Liz enters a corridor lined with statues and watches Laura from a distance. She pauses when she notices Lucifer's head on the statue moving. Laura, sensing something is wrong, checks her surroundings. She is startled when a raven lands on the window. While distracted, Liz steals Michael's sword from the statue and exits. At that moment, a guard finds Laura, mistaking her for the hooded figure who had separated from the group. Laura proves she has access to the area. The guard, thinking it's a misunderstanding, reminds her that the exhibition is closing and leaves. As Laura gathers her things, she notices Michael's hand on the statue but can't tell what's different. She approaches the front door, but it's locked. She begins searching for another exit. When she returns to the corridor, she is shocked to see Liz kill the guard with the sword and take his head. Terrified, Laura runs and hides in a confessional booth where she watches Liz disable the alarms using the guard's eyes and break the glass casing protecting the shroud, stealing it. Father Marconi hears the noise and arrives to stop Liz, but she stabs him. Liz's henchmen then arrive to guard the shroud, and as they leave, Liz spots Laura in the booth and orders her men to take her. After the group leaves, Marconi, using his final breath, prays for Michael to use his body to stop Lucifer. Immediately, Michael descends from heaven, taking possession of the priest's body to pursue Liz's group, who are fleeing in their car. Michael's angelic powers enable him to run at incredible speed, but his human body can't withstand the strain. He has to slow down to avoid destroying the vessel. Meanwhile, a group of wealthy individuals watches a child prodigy perform violin music with exceptional skill. After the performance, Dr. Laurent reveals that the child is a clone of Antonio Vivaldi, part of an ongoing project where DNA is extracted from famous graves to create clones. The clones are then auctioned to wealthy parents. Today, a Michelangelo clone is up for bid. During the auction, Liz appears to inform Laurent that they have secured the shroud. Moments later, the group arrives at Lucifer Villa. Laurent is eager to see the shroud, knowing that with it he can finally clone Jesus, while Laura finds herself imprisoned in a glass cell alongside Brenda and two other women. One of the women is hysterical, crying and yelling, but Laura calms her down with soothing words. Laura suggests they work together, but before they can plan, a group of nurses enters to take their vitals. Meanwhile, Michael returns to the cathedral and finds priests reviewing the security footage. The priests are astonished to see Marconi alive, But Michael doesn't explain himself. Instead, he inquires about the protectors of the shroud. The priests explain that Cardinal Vincini had been responsible for the shroud's protection, but he became unstable, talking about demonic beasts and secret cults, signs that were dismissed as dementia. Michael is appalled that the priests don't believe in the very words of the Bible and demands to know where Vincini is. He learns that Vincini is now a hermit living alone in an asylum. Michael takes the security footage and asks about Laura by showing her pass. He makes the priests swear they won't tell anyone they've seen him. Afterward, Michael borrows a jacket and leaves in Marconi's car, taking some medicine he finds in the glove box to ease the pain caused by his powers. Meanwhile, a raven follows him unnoticed. As the scientists at the villa work to extract Jesus' DNA from the shroud, Michael arrives at the asylum and meets Vincini, who is armed and terrified. When Vincini touches Michael, he immediately senses that Michael is not just a priest, but an angel. Vincini believes him and reveals that he knows about Liz and the villa built around the chasm leading to hell, which the asylum was designed to monitor. The scriptures foretold Lucifer's eventual return, requiring two ancient beasts from both realms. One is a woman, clearly referring to Liz, and the other is the beast of the ground. For years, Lucifer's followers brought children for him to possess, but human bodies weren't strong enough to contain his essence. That's why they stole the shroud. They planned to clone Jesus, whose body is powerful enough to sustain Lucifer's possession. Disgusted by what he hears, Michael vows to stop them. Vincini drives him to the foot of the Villa Mountain, where Michael's presence causes his sword to react, allowing Lucifer to begin pulling at the chain, trying to break free. Meanwhile, in the villa, the women try to find a way to break their chains while sharing personal stories, revealing that Laura has lost both her husband and her child. Laurent runs tests and discovers that Laura is 100% compatible for their purposes. Liz orders him to speed up the process. The nurses return to the cell to take the women, but they defend themselves with their chains. However, more nurses arrive and overpower them, taking Laura and Brenda to the surgery room. In the surgery room, doctors implant eggs fertilized with Jesus' DNA into the women. Liz arrives and introduces herself as an angel of the Lord. She tells Laura that she knew she was the one because she had seen Laura's sketches of Lucifer in the cathedral and found them inspiring. Meanwhile, Vincini leaves Michael at the entrance of a secret cave that leads to the villa. Before leaving, Vincini notices the raven following them and shoots it. He then hands his weapon to Michael, who heads into the cave. Moments later, Laura and Brenda are dressed as brides and brought to a gathering of Lucifer's followers, where they are chained to a pillar. The beast of the ground arrives to collect the women, placing them in a giant bird cage that is lowered into the well protecting the entrance to hell. Suddenly, demons surround the cage and hold the women down, while Lucifer transforms into pure essence to enter Brenda through her mouth. Brenda struggles, but eventually succumbs and dies. Lucifer leaves Brenda's body and enters Laura's, but Laura miraculously survives the possession. She stumbles outside, and Liz presents her as the chosen one before escorting her to a new glass cell with a bed and a vital sign monitor. When Laura asks what's inside her, Liz ominously replies, "A better Jesus." Back with Michael, he finally locates a door in the cave tunnel and opens it with gunfire, entering the villa. Guards immediately notice him, and though Michael attempts to use his weapon, he is shot in the shoulder. He quickly incapacitates the guards, steals a uniform and pass, and proceeds unnoticed. Michael gains access to the lab and retrieves the shroud. He scans the security cameras to locate Laura. As Laurent enters the lab, Michael pushes him against a table, demanding answers. Laurent simply responds, "I work for a new beginning." Michael decides to release the gas canisters and ignites a flare, setting fire to the lab and blocking the path of the approaching guards. The fire alarm sounds throughout the building. Laura begs the nurse to let her go, but he refuses. Just then, Michael arrives, knocks out the nurse, and Laura embraces him, believing Father Marconi is alive after all. However, Michael becomes distracted when Lucifer speaks to him telepathically, taunting him about his impending freedom. Michael, confused and furious, doesn't understand how the seal was broken, making Laura suspect he's allied with the enemy. Terrified, Laura runs, but Michael quickly catches up and drags her into a room before the guards can find them. Laura grabs his gun and points it at him, but Michael convinces her he's on her side as he tends to his bullet wound. Laura explains what's been done to her, prompting Michael to decide to protect her. As they flee, Liz sends her henchmen after them. When one guard nearly shoots Laura, Liz intervenes and kills him, ensuring Laura's safety. Michael and Laura attempt to escape through the cave tunnel, but the baby grows too quickly, and Laura begins to feel unwell. Their slow pace allows the beast to catch up, and it begins attacking Michael. Initially, Michael holds his own, but soon his human body starts to fail again, and the beast overpowers him. Liz arrives with her henchmen and recaptures Laura, who threatens to harm the baby if they hurt the priest. Liz reminds her that the priest is already dead, and that only the angel remains to be dealt with. Back in the cell, Laura is chained to a bed, while Michael is chained near the well. He uses his powers to break free, but it leaves him extremely weak. He drags himself toward the well and jumps into it just before the beast can catch him. Upon landing in hell, Michael is immediately attacked by a demon, which he quickly repels. He inspects the rock and is horrified to discover that his sword is missing. More demons arrive, and using Lucifer's sword, they imprison Michael in the same way Lucifer had been bound years ago. Meanwhile, the baby inside Laura grows at an unnatural rate. Liz tells Laura that this baby will replace the one she lost, but Laura refuses to see it that way. During an ultrasound, Laura watches in shock as the baby crawls out and roars at her, but she wakes up realizing it was only a nightmare. She finds Liz sitting next to her, asking if Lucifer has spoken to her. When Laura doesn't respond, Liz recounts Lucifer's battle with God, but Laura dismisses it, telling her she doesn't care. Liz slaps Laura and promises she will free her after the birth, but for now, demands respect. A group of children finds Michael on the rock, and it turns out these are the failed sacrifices who have banded together to survive in hell. Michael assures them that if they help find his sword, he can take them home. However, the children hesitate, unsure whether they can trust an angel given that Lucifer was once one too. Demons interrupt their conversation, causing most of the children to flee. A few are captured, and Michael can only watch helplessly. Meanwhile, in the cell, Lucifer's essence leaves Laura's womb briefly and enters her mind, offering her a deal: accept him, and he will help her kill the man who murdered her family, as well as Liz, whom she despises. Accepting the offer, Laura lies down on the bed, allowing Lucifer to take over the baby as she dreams of bonding with him. Liz watches, growing concerned that Laura is becoming too powerful. Later, while a nurse runs tests, Laura uses her newfound powers to extinguish the lights and kill the nurse. She then leaves the room and encounters another nurse, whom she immediately attacks until he dies. Suddenly, Laura snaps out of Lucifer's control, horrified by her actions, and decides she must kill the baby before it becomes worse. Lucifer pleads with her, calling her mother. Ignoring Lucifer's pleas, Laura runs into a janitorial closet as guards pursue her. She locks the door, grabs a bottle of chlorine, and struggles against Lucifer's influence, attempting to drink it. As she vomits and writhes in pain, Liz kicks down the door and shouts at Laura for what she's done to the baby. About to leave to find a doctor, Laura suddenly uses her powers to close the door, pushing Liz to the ground and vomiting on her face. It's clear that Lucifer is now controlling Laura's body, and he is punishing Liz for her failures. Liz expresses regret that she couldn't carry the baby, but Lucifer ignores her pleas and gives her new orders. After the birth, no one can know what happened here, so everyone must die. Lucifer is also concerned that Laura and the baby are bonding, so they must both be killed after the birth. Moments later, Laurent arrives, and Lucifer strikes him, demanding to be freed from the chlorine. Laura's body is placed inside a healing pod. Lucifer's essence briefly leaves her body and possesses a demon in hell, mocking Michael for his failure, while the children observe this from the shadows, seeing Michael as a hero. After Lucifer departs, Michael finally understands why God is allowing these events to unfold. The children come to his aid, but they lack the strength to remove the demon-imbued sword from its chains. They search for Michael's own sword, which they find among the rubble. However, before they can deliver it to him, demons arrive, offering the children freedom in exchange for their allegiance. The children hesitate, but remembering what they've heard, they give the sword to Michael. Empowered, he regains his true form, killing the demons. He promises the children that he will return for them and heads back to Earth in Marconi's body, retrieving the shroud and returning to the main building. Michael knocks down a guard, steals a weapon, and heads to check on Laura. Lucifer's voice answers her instead. Desperate to help, Michael begins moving the pod to another room, which is noticed by a nurse. After locking the door, Michael opens the pod and tries to explain that the baby is not what Laura thinks, but Lucifer pushes him away with a powerful roar. Lucifer then guides Laura's body to stand above Michael and announces her water has broken before releasing the liquid onto him, burning his body. Michael tries to flee, but Lucifer grabs him, holding him over Laura's lap and demanding worship. When Michael refuses, Lucifer stabs him in the neck with Laura's fingers. Despite this, Michael doesn't give up, declaring that God is allowing this because if Lucifer merges with Jesus' holy body, Jesus will keep him under control and sealed forever. Furious at this revelation, Lucifer throws a tantrum, knocking out Michael in the process. When Liz arrives with the guards, Lucifer asks her to kill the baby. Liz mistakenly thinks it's Laura speaking and orders the guards to take her to the altar. At the top of the well to hell, Laura gives birth, and Liz immediately takes the baby away. Laura is left alone at the well's edge. The beast opens the lid, making her fall before rejoining the others outside. Liz presents the new savior to Lucifer's followers and announces that the baby will be baptized with blood instead of water. The beast then proceeds to kill every follower, doctor, and guard. Laurent is spared for a moment but is killed after kissing the baby's head. Meanwhile, Michael awakens and breaks a window to escape the room. He enters the well room and finds Laura hanging at the edge. He helps her up and together, they set off after their enemy. Liz is about to leave with the baby in a car, but Laura leaps onto her, hitting her before reaching for the child. Liz asks for no harm to come to Lucifer, but Michael explains that the baby isn't Lucifer. The devil didn't choose Laura, God did, and she gave birth to what will become Lucifer's eternal prison. Laura gets into the car and leaves to find Vincini, while Michael stays behind to fight, as the gates to hell are now open and demons are trying to escape. Michael rushes to the well and closes it, only to be thrown away by the beast, who begins opening it again. Before the beast can succeed, Michael discovers explosives planted by Liz to destroy evidence. He activates the explosives, causing an explosion that buries the well under debris. Later, Vincini takes Laura and the baby to the cathedral, and they return the shroud while Michael goes back to hell to free all the children as promised. Years pass, and Laura lives with Vincini in the asylum, protecting the child who has grown healthy and strong. One day, Liz sneaks into the forest to observe the family. She tries to summon Lucifer, but when the devil attempts to escape, the child absorbs him back into his body, keeping him sealed.